Welcome back to Best Recaps.
Today I'm going to explain the movie Richie Rich, released in the year 1994. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. The movie begins with a billionaire businessman named Richard. A son is born to Richard's family. He is named Richie Rich. Richie is the first and only son of Richard Rich and Regina Rich. The secretary, named Cadbury, is given all the responsibilities of his son. Cadbury, a loyal servant of Richard and also a caretaker. Because Richie's dad, being a big businessman, is very busy with office work, but still he tries to give time to Richie, so sometimes they even take him to their office. As Richie grows up, his interests in sports grows. Richie had every facility in the world, but he had no real friends. Only his caretaker, Cadbury, played with him. When Richie grew up, he became a very amazing baseball player. Despite having so many facilities, Richie could not live like a normal child. Richie's dad saves an industry called United Tool from being bankrupt, so they invite Richard for the opening ceremony of the United industry. But Richard is out of the country for work, so he sends his son Richie to the ceremony. When Richie goes there, he sees a group of children playing baseball on the nearby ground. But when Richie goes near to them, his strict security guard Ferguson pulls him by the arm and tells him to sit back in the helicopter. Cadbury gets very angry when he sees this, forbid Ferguson to never do it again. On this day, Richie realizes that there is something missing in his life that he cannot buy with money. Richie goes home and meets his dog Dollar. Richie's mom shows Richard a family portrait that was made on a 10-feet-high mountain. Richie takes permission from her mom to invite some friends to the house, which she gives her permission, but only for school friends, but Richie doesn't like it at all. Richie attends his ceremony lesson where his professor, Keen Bean, shows him some of his most amazing inventions. Keen Bean is also a family scientist who is financed by Richie's dad so he can create amazing inventions for his family. At night, Van Doe, one of the chef financial officers for his industry, comes to his house for dinner. Van Doe is a very greedy man. He's making a plan to snatch the status of Rich's family. Richie doesn't like Van Doe at all. That's why he refuses to do dinner with him. After Van Doe asks Richie's dad to change his security system, to which Richard tells him that he doesn't care because all their valuable stuff is in the family vault, Van Doe becomes curious to hear this. Richard's wife Regina gestures to him and forbids him to give more information. After Richie goes to school, we see that he doesn't like his friends because they are always talking about money, while Richie enjoys having fun like a normal kid that his standard kids don't allow. After school, Richie goes to see the children on the same ground, even after the Cadbury is strictly forbidden. On the ground, kids tell him this game is only for the poor. Seeing this, Richie takes a bet of $10, then a girl named Gloria gives him a chance. Richie hits a very amazing 6 and wins the bet. Gloria gives him the money, but he refuses to accept and instead gives them to his house, but Gloria forbids him. The next day, Van Doe tells Richard's security guard, Ferguson, to pack a bomb into his plane and keep it with the rest of the gifts. Mr. Richard, along with his wife and Richie, board the plane for Queen Elizabeth's birthday. Richie is not excited at all to meet the Queen. A machine called Smellmaster is also taken as a gift for the Queen. Mr. Richard and Richie board the plane, but Richie's mother notices that Richie is not happy. She asks Cadbury about his sadness. Cadbury suggests to Richie's mom, "Why don't let Richie stay here? He'll enjoy it more." At their house, Cadbury invites kids for the whole day and surprises Richie. Richie is happy to see them all in his house. They're all very excited to see such a big house of Richie. He then takes them to his homemade McDonald's where they eat a lot of burgers. They then play games with Richie and have a lot of fun. Gloria and her friends start liking Richie. Gloria's mom also came with them, and then Richie takes them all to his personal roller coaster that his dad gave him as a gift last Christmas. On the other side, the detector machine detects the bomb on the plane. When Mr. Richard opens it, the bomb is about to explode in 7 seconds. He threw the bomb from the window of the plane, but the bomb hit the wing of the plane and blast, but they escape by falling into the ocean. After Richie's friends leave, Casby tells Richie that his parents are missing, which makes Richie very upset. He tries to find the location of his dad through a location detector, but he finds nothing. Van Doe thinks they are all dead by now, so he shifts to Mr. Richard's office, leads the rich company to be the boss, and cancels many of Mr. Richard's charities. There was also a United Tool factory where the parents of Gloria and all her friends worked at, and the same factory was their only source of income. Van Doe is celebrating his victory when Ferguson comes in and tells him that Richie is still alive. He was not on the plane. Van Doe gets very angry when he hears this, but then he thinks that he'll get Richie out of his way. On the other hand, Richie believes that his parents are still alive. Richie's parents are trapped in an ocean. They believe that this is Van Doe's job. Mr. Richard tells Regina that we must survive to save Richie. Gloria tells Richie by phone that Rich Corporation is closing the United Tool factory, and her parents have been evicted. Richie is told to help them. Richie is very angry when he hears this. He goes to the office with Cadbury and replaces his dad, but Mr. Van Doe says that Richie is still underage. Cadbury says that as Richie's guardian, he can handle his powers and business and make decisions. Van Doe gets very angry and Richie makes the first order to open a United Tool factory. Richie handles all his dad's business very smartly. While Richie and his friends come to the office to thank him, Richie hires him as his research and development team in his office. Van Doe tries to win the board members, but it also fails. He then places the bomb in Cadbury's room to get him out of the way and imprison him for the murders of Mr. Richard and Regina. Doing so weakens Richie. After Cadbury's departure, Van Doe becomes Richie's official guardian. Van Doe now has the power to make all business decisions. Van Doe removes all the servants of the rich house so that no one can save the Cadbury. Richie is very sad to see all of this. Van Doe puts cameras on every corner of the house so he can't get out of the house. Because of all this, Richie seems to be living like a prisoner in his own house. Then Van Doe asks Ferguson about the rich vault. Ferguson says he doesn't know. Now they plan to kill Cadbury in a way that everyone thinks is a suicide. But Professor Keen Bean also hears this. With his machine, he takes Richie to his lab. He later tells her about Van Doe's plan to assassinate Cadbury. He then shows him his new invention, which is a portion that can make holes. Professor somehow managed to get Richie out of the house. Richie sends a secret message to the Cadbury. He puts the portion in the toothpaste so that the Cadbury can escape very quickly while he is reading the message. A man comes from behind and tries to kill Cadbury. Cadbury fights with him and kills the man. Cadbury gets out of prison. Richie shows him the newspaper, which informs them that they found the plane of mom and dad, but they don't find any dead body. So Richie is convinced that his parents are alive. After that, Richie goes to Gloria's house where he tries to contact his dad using her computer. Richie's dad, on the other hand, takes off an earring of Regina, and when he puts it on the connector, it starts working. Richie somehow seems to reach his dad's location, but Ferguson disconnects them by removing wires from its mainframe. He then informs Van Doe that Richard is alive. This time, Van Doe is very happy to hear this because the professor had told him that the Rich Vault is activated only by Richard's voice, so he sends the plane to save them. Richie tries to reach his dad-linked device by going back home to find out the location of his parents. This time he goes home with Gloria and the rest of her friends. He escapes security and arrives at Professor Keen Bean's lab, where Van Doe has tied up Keen Bean. Then Richie releases Keen Bean. Keen Bean starts to work with them and puts some solution in the pipe of fountain weight, which causes bubbles to form in the fountain, which attracts the attention of the security guards. Richie and his friends together disconnect the security cameras, and they all reach Richie's room. He sees his dad's location. He finds out that his dad is inside the house because Van Doe had rescued them from the ocean and made them hostage. Van Doe asks Mr. Richard about the Rich Vault. Mr. Richard explains that he is behind his family portrait on Mountain Ridge. Van Doe hands Richie and Cadbury over to the security guards and takes his mom and dad with him to Rich Mountain so they can open the Rich Vault and give it to him. Ferguson, on the other hand, grabs Richie and all his friends, take them to Keen Bean's lab, locks them in a cage, and starts torturing them. Keen Bean traps Ferguson and his partner and frees Richie and his friends. Richie runs away and goes to save his mom and dad. When Van Doe goes inside the vault, there is no treasure. There are the Rich's family memories, and all of Richie's childhood is present. He is very angry when he sees this. Mr. Richard tells him that the real treasure is all these memories. Van Doe then tries to kill Richie's mom and dad, but suddenly Richie intervenes. Richard attacks Van Doe and somehow tries to get his family out of the vault and down the mountain. But Ferguson overpowers them by a rock-blasting laser, attacks the machine that they used to create the structure. Cadbury attacks Ferguson and tries to stop him. They both fight. On the other hand, Richie pushes Van Doe down, which saves them all. But Van Doe still escapes. Cadbury attacks Van Doe with his laser machine, and all of them get out of Van Doe's net. In the next scene, Richie plays a baseball match with all his friends on the ground of the house, and the coach of the team is Cadbury. After winning the match, his ball falls out to Van Doe and Ferguson, where they are both clearing their garden and the policeman is watching them. Richie's mom and dad see Richie with his friends and say that finally, our son has become a richest boy, because he has real friends. That was all from the video. I hope you liked it. Subscribe for more content like this, and hit the like button to help us out. Also leave a comment if you want us to recap your favorite movie. Until next time, takes care.